the gun lobby and its allies willfully lied about the bill. They claimed that it would create some sort of big brother gun registry, even though the bill did the opposite. This legislation, in fact, outlawed any registry. Plain and simple, right there in the text.
That was President Obama last April. While the gun registrations have begun in the U.S., my question is how long until guns are confiscated? I stayed away from a lot of news coverage over the Christmas break, but this photo and the story from our friends at theblaze.com, it caught my eye. It's a photo of gun owners in Connecticut lining up to register their firearms prior to the January 1st deadline. Last April, in the wake of the Sandy Hook shooting, lawmakers in that state passed a new gun control law that banned certain firearms deemed to be assault weapons. It also banned magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. But they said if you owned these things and registered them, well, you could keep them. Until that is, they decide they're going to confiscate them. The legislation was passed despite evidence showing that gun control of this sort does not work. New figures also show that despite record gun purchases in the U.S., gun crime's down on several fronts. The gun control lobby will tell you it's all propaganda, that gun control always works, and that no one will ever confiscate your firearms unless you break the law. Tonight I'll show you that these are lies, and I'll use facts, not emotion, to back it up. First, the confiscation issue. In Connecticut, the state government now has a list of every gun in existence that they don't like. And we know they don't like these firearms because they ban new owners from getting those guns or from owning 15 or 20 round magazines. But they promised you that if you just filled out the paperwork, you could keep your firearms and gear. This is not about confiscation, they told you. This is about safety. And it will be about safety until they decide that anyone owning these particular firearms is unsafe and they demand that you hand them all in. The ability to demand you surrender your firearms is written into Connecticut's Public Act number 13-3, also known as an act concerning gun violence prevention and children's safety. All they have to do is amend the law slightly to force you to hand over your firearms or face jail time. Now, when Canada enacted its gun registry in the wake of the Montreal massacre, where 14 women died while sitting in a university classroom, there were similar fears raised about confiscation by law-abiding gun owners. They were told, well, don't worry, there won't be any confiscations. And then those gun owners watched as time and again firearms were reclassified as prohibited, meaning they were too dangerous for the public to own. Firearms like the Walther G22 carbine, owned legally for years, well, they were confiscated after a technician in a lab decided the public shouldn't own this rifle. Even after a conservative government was elected, largely with the support of gun owners on a promise to get rid of this sort of system, at least 6 new firearms were reclassified from non-restricted to prohibited, and everyone had their registered rifles. So they received a letter like this one. You are required by law to return your firearm registration certificates without delay, either by mail or in person to a peace officer or firearms officers. You have 30 days to deliver your firearms to a peace officer, firearms officer, or chief firearms officer, or otherwise lawfully dispose of them. Firearms were to be surrendered. No compensation was offered, and if you didn't surrender, well, they had you on a database. They knew where to find you. This is now coming to the U.S. through Connecticut, and it could spread. When they tell you you must register or be put into a firearms database, remember, this will only lead to confiscation when a politician or increasingly a bureaucrat decides that you, the public, can't be trusted anymore. Now, as I said, this law in Connecticut and other gun controls like it in places like New York, Colorado, or California, well, they were passed despite evidence showing that gun crime's down, that gun violence is down. Now, check out this story from the Associated Press, as published on the ABC website. Now, they're both reliable liberal news outlets. There it is, 2013, fewest police deaths by firearm since 1887. And the story goes on. 46 officers were killed in traffic-related accidents and 33 were killed by firearms. The number of firearms deaths fell 33% in 2013 to the lowest since 1887. That's shocking, the lowest number of police deaths by firearms in more than 125 years. So what's happening with gun sales in general, though? Well, they're going up. Bloomberg News, owned by anti-gun crusader Michael Bloomberg, reports that between 2008 and 2012, the number of background checks conducted when people attempted to buy guns, well, they were up 54%. There were 19.2 million background checks in 2012, And that number will be surpassed when the full 2013 numbers are in, because most states already report having more or an equal number before December's numbers are even counted. The Bloomberg story goes on to say Sturm Ruger of Southport, Connecticut, the largest publicly traded U.S. gun maker, reported a 45% jump in third quarter sales this year due to high demand for new firearms, including the LC-380 pistol, the SR-45 pistol, and the Ruger American rimfire rifle. Gun sales up, gun crime down, gun deaths are down, but new laws are headed your way. It's not about the guns, it's about the control, the ability to control you, your life, what you can own, what you can buy, and what they can take away from you. Last year, I issued a warning to America that gun confiscation was coming, that gun control laws would be tougher despite the evidence. Today, that warning rings louder. It's up to law-abiding gun owners to share this warning and arm themselves with facts in order to beat back the next assault on gun owners driven by emotion and fear.